The winds carried stories in Jibam village, a small settlement nestled in the rocky embrace of Plateau State. The elders often sat beneath the lone baobab tree, recounting tales of wandering spirits, Akudaya they called them. These were the souls who had left their earthly bodies behind but found their way back into the living, not as themselves but as strangers. Their presence, they said, was marked by mystery and tragedy. I used to think these were just old wife tales, something to keep restless children close to home after sunset. That was until I met Dami. It was during the Harmattan season when the dust-laden winds seemed to choke the earth and paint the skies a dull grey. I was fetching water from the stream, the rhythmic chatter of the village girls filling the air when I first saw him. He was sitting on a rock by the stream, his gaze distant and his posture regal yet lonely. His complexion was unusually pale for someone from these parts, and his eyes, deep, piercing, and almost otherworldly, seemed to carry weight of lifetimes. Who is that? I whispered to my cousin, Bisi, nudging her. That's Dami, she replied, her voice low, as if she feared being overheard. He just arrived in the village a few weeks ago. No one knows much about him. Some says he's from Jos, others says he's from nowhere at all. Her words intrigued me, but what drew me in was the sadness that seemed to cling to him like a shadow. I decided to speak to him that day, a decision that would change my life forever. I approached Dami cautiously, unsure of how he would react, but when he turned to face me, a small smile playing on his lips, I felt an inexplicable warmth spread through me. "Hello," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "Hello," he replied, his tone gentle yet carrying an unplaceable accent. We exchanged pleasantries and I learnt little about him other than that he had come to Jibam to find peace. His answers were vague, but his voice had a melodic quality that made him want to listen forever. But before I knew it, we were talking every day. Dami was unlike anyone I had ever met. He spoke of things that seemed beyond his years. His knowledge of history and culture astounding. He had a way of making me feel seen, as if he understood the very core of my being. It wasn't long before I realized I was falling for him. But Dami had secrets, deep, dark secrets. The first hint of something amiss came when I invited him to a village gathering. It was a vibrant affair with music, dancing, and feasting, but Dami seemed reluctant to join in. He stood at the edge of the crowd, his expression unreadable. At one point, the village priest, Baba Uche, came near him and I noticed Dami stiffen. Baba Uche's gaze lingered on him for a moment, his brows furrowing as if he sensed something. Later, the priest pulled me aside. "That boy," he said in a hushed tone, "there's something not right about him. Be careful, my child." I dismissed his warning, attributing it to the superstitions that often governed village life. But then there were other signs. Dami never ate in my presence, claiming he wasn't hungry. He avoided church, saying he wasn't religious, and then there was the dream. One night I dreamt of a woman, old with hollow eyes, a voice like that of rustling leaves. "Beware of the man who walks with no shadow," she said. When I woke, I felt a chill that no blanket could dispel. The next day, I watched Dami closely. It was late afternoon and the sun was high in the sky, yet as he walked beside me, there was no shadow trailing him. My heart pounded as I recalled the old woman's words. "Where is your shadow, Dami?" I blurted out. He looked at me, his eyes darkening. "Everyone, what do you mean?" he said. "Everyone has a shadow," I said, my voice trembling. "But you do not." For a moment he said nothing. Then he smiled, a sad, wistful smile. Some things are better left unexplained, Amina. Dami's cryptic response only fueled my curiosity. I began to ask around, piecing together fragments of his past or lack thereof. No one in the village could recall seeing him arrive. He had no family, no friends, no history. It was as if he had materialized out of thin air. One night, driven by desperation, I followed him. He often wandered into the forest, and I needed to know why. What I saw chilled me to the bone. He was standing in a clearing, speaking to someone or something that wasn't there. His words were a mix of languages, some I recognized, others I didn't, and then, as if sensing my presence, he turned. Amina, he said softly, you shouldn't be here. Dami finally confessed. He wasn't alive, at least not in conventional sense. He was an Akudaya, a spirit who had returned to the land of the living, searching for redemption. His death had been violent, his soul restless. I loved once, Amina, he said, his voice thickening with emotion. But I was betrayed, and now I wander, hoping to find peace. When I met you, I thought perhaps you could be my salvation. Tears streamed down my face as I grappled with the truth. I loved him, but how could I be with someone who wasn't truly alive? In the end, it was Baba Uche who helped me. Together, we performed a ritual to release Dami's soul. It was the hardest thing I had ever done, watching him fade away, his eyes filled with sorrow and gratitude. I will love you forever, he whispered before vanishing, and then he has gone, leaving me with an ache in my heart, a story that will be whispered beneath the baobab tree for generations to come.